What's up, everyone? Mark here, and welcome to the Prepared Pantry. So the idea for today's recipe actually came to me in an interesting way. So not that long ago, we did a cinnamon rolls recipe as part of the Glockner series. You can check that out if you haven't seen it yet. The results of that, actually the results of a lot of my baking and cooking, ended up going to friends and neighbors. Just it's too much for just Joe and I to eat here, and it's way more carbs than anybody needs half the time. So I like to share the wealth, and I shared a bunch of cinnamon rolls with the neighbors, and they made brown butter chocolate chip cookies as a thank you in return. They made them and you shared some of them, and they were absolutely delicious. And it got me thinking about what I really like about a good chocolate chip cookie. And part of the reason that I like thin, crispy chocolate chip cookies is because of that caramelized, nutty, almost toffee kind of flavor that you get from the browned sugars and molasses and butter and everything that's in it. So to make the cookies with brown butter to begin with seems like a no-brainer, right? There are a few things that we need to think about first, though. Just a straight substitution for brown butter, while on the surface it sounds great, it's not the same thing. So when you brown butter, you're boiling off almost all of the water content in it. So the water and liquid content of your recipe ends up being a little bit lower, or the ratio of water to fat ends up being different. So we're going to change a few things here. One thing we're going to change is we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of milk just to have a little bit of extra liquid in there to make up for the water that we're losing when we brown the butter. And we're going to put a little bit of cornstarch in there, and the point there is just going to be for it to hold on to some of the moisture to keep it a little chewy in the center so that it doesn't get 100% crispy. I'm aiming for a crispier cookie here. We could probably bake it a little bit less time, make it chewier, bake it a little longer, make it crispier. I'm going to shoot for kind of middle of the road, leaning crispy. So two things that we're going to do here is instead of chocolate chip, we're going to do M&Ms. It's been a long time since I've made an M&Ms cookie. So we're going to use dark chocolate M&Ms to get a little bit closer to semi-sweet chocolate chips, but still have the fun of an M&M. And we are going to be using Kerrygold Irish butter. Unsalted. I'm using unsalted butter so that I can control the salt that goes into the recipe when we make the cookies. Premium butter here is key. You can use supermarket butter. Brown supermarket butter is 100 times better than regular butter. But browned Irish butter or good butter, so definitely splurge on the better butter if you can. So that's really it in terms of the particulars. So let's just get started. Okay, so we're going to need 2 sticks of butter for our brown butter cookies. Again, that is use a good high quality butter if you can. We're going to need a half a cup of white granulated sugar. We're going to need 1 cup of packed brown sugar. I do not have brown sugar, so I'm going to use a cup of granulated white sugar with a tablespoon of molasses. It is the equivalent of a cup of packed brown sugar. We're going to need 2 eggs. That's 1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk. We're going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We're going to need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to need 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, and again, that's to hold on to some of the extra moisture. We're going to need a teaspoon of baking soda. That's for a little bit of leavening. Half a teaspoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of milk, and that is going to, again, to account for the loss of the water in the browning of the butter. We're then going to use 1.5 cups of dark chocolate M&Ms. Thinking dark chocolate M&Ms will be a nice cross between regular M&Ms and semi-sweet chocolate chips. But we don't need any of this yet except for the butter. The first thing we're going to need to do is brown our butter, so let's clear away some of the other ingredients for now and get started on that. Okay, so to make our brown butter, simple enough, we are going to start with a cold pan. And you want to use a light colored pan for this so that you can see kind of how the butter is doing. It goes very quickly from brown and perfect to overcooked and burnt. So we want to be pretty careful not to reach that point. So we're going to just cut up our butter and drop it into a cold pan before we start heating it up. Okay, we're going to get this going over medium heat until it's melted. And it is going to start to foam up, and that's okay. We're looking for it to get a lightly brown color, and any of the milk solids that separate out to get a lightly brown color too. But again, it's going to go very quickly from perfect to overdone and burned. So just be very careful. Probably take about 5 minutes overall. This already smells amazing, and you know, it's barely even going. To cool this as quickly as possible, I'm going to pour it when it's done into a foil-lined, a heavy-duty foil-lined ringed baking sheet, which I've actually had chilling in the fridge. Not entirely necessary, but you know, it will help it cool that much faster, and it does help stop the cooking process, because once this is browned where we want it, as I said, it's a fine line, so we don't want to cross it. It'll help stop the cooking process almost immediately. Another reason I'm using a high-sided saucepan here is just to keep it from splashing as much. You know, if you did this in a skillet or a frying pan, there would be spatters all over the stove top. And you can see they were just starting to brown, and how quickly that happens. The solids are starting to turn brown. You can get that nutty aroma. You know, almost exactly where we want to be. All right. Including the brown solids, because that's half of the flavor there. All right, now this is going to have to chill completely until it's fully cooled and solidified, and then we will be able to proceed with the rest of the recipe. All right, we're back, and the butter is completely cooled. One thing I neglected to mention was that I covered it with foil and put it in the refrigerator. Cover it if you're going to put it in the refrigerator, just to prevent it taking on weird flavors from the other foods and odors and things in the fridge. That does tend to happen. Fats tend to absorb other flavors from the odors of the things that are around them. So this smells absolutely amazing. It's almost like English toffee, and that's just the butter. I mean, these cookies are going to be phenomenal. So the first thing we're going to do is beat the butter until it's creamy and smooth. That's going to be on low speed for about a minute or so. As you can see, this got much lighter in color and texture. Very smooth and creamy. So now we're going to start to add our sugar. So that's half a cup of white sugar and a full cup of packed brown sugar, or in my case, an additional cup of white sugar and a tablespoon of molasses. And we're going to continue to beat this for another minute or so until everything is combined and nice and fluffy. Okay, now it is time to add the vanilla and our eggs. And remember, this is going to be 1 whole egg. And 1 egg yolk. And no need to waste this egg white. I'll have that a little bit later scrambled. Okay, now we are going to add the cornstarch. The baking soda. And the salt to the flour. And just whisk that together to get it combined. And we are going to just slowly start to beat this flour mixture into the wet ingredients. And stopping occasionally to scrape down the bowl as we need to. We'll start out with the first little bit. Now we're going to add the milk. And that will loosen up the dough a little bit. Okay, I think we are good. So from here, we are going to just kind of get this together and add most of our M&Ms. I'm going to reserve some of these to press a few in the top so that they look nice before they go into the oven. And you want to be minimal once you put the M&Ms in terms of how much you mix it, because the colors will start to sort of melt into the wetness of the dough, and then you'll have colored streaks kind of going through the cookies. All right, I'm going to kind of gather the dough together into the middle of the bowl here, into just one mass. Flatten it a little bit because this is going to have to chill now, and I want this to chill evenly and not take a long time. So this is going to go into the refrigerator and chill for about an hour, and then we're going to roll it out into balls. And put them on our cookie sheets, and then we're going to have to chill them again on the cookie sheets, and that's just going to prevent them from spreading too much, which isn't a terrible thing, but we're going for, you know, a soft, chewy cookie here, maybe crispy towards the outside edges, but we don't want these to kind of run and become flat and, you know, smash into one another. So again, these are going to go into the refrigerator, covered for about an hour to chill. So the dough has been chilling in the refrigerator for an hour, and we are finally ready to make some cookies. So we're just going to use a 1 tablespoon measure and do a rounded tablespoon, which should be about 1.5 tablespoonfuls. It is a very thick dough, but it shouldn't be too sticky. It's more dry and kind of buttery. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so again, we're not quite ready yet. Our dough balls need to go back in the refrigerator to chill for about an hour and a half, 2 hours before we bake them off. Now, I got 30 cookies on the 2 trays, had a little bit of extra dough. I think rather than make these right now, I'm going to just pop these in the freezer. Once they're frozen solid, I can throw them in a bag and or maybe even vacuum seal them just to keep them from getting frostbitten. And I am certain that the day will come when baking off 7 cookies for dessert will be just the thing. So I'm going to cover these up and pop them in the refrigerator, and we will be back to bake them in a couple hours. Okay, so these have been chilling in the refrigerator for 2 hours now. One thing I did before I put them in the refrigerator was I took some of the reserved M&Ms and pressed them into the tops of the dough balls just to get a nice, a couple of full M&Ms facing up so that all the cookies kind of look nice and they're not all just sort of buried in the dough. So these are going to go into a 350-degree preheated oven, and we're going to bake them for about 10 to 12 minutes. I'm going to rotate the sheets halfway through, and we'll come back when they're coming out of the oven. All right, hot out of the oven. So these ended up taking about twice as long, which I should have expected. These are cold trays out of the refrigerator with cold dough. I should have just baked one at a time, and it probably would have been closer to 11 or 12 minutes. While these are still warm, I do want to get in here in between any of the cookies that are sort of run into one another. It's a lot easier to fix that now in a way that isn't as noticeable when the cookies cool. These are going to cool on the cookie sheets for about 5 minutes, and then we are going to just slide them off onto the wire racks. Now, I have to confess, I did taste the dough before I cleaned the beaters from the mixer, and man, just even the raw dough without any chocolate or M&Ms in it was incredible. The brown butter really makes so much of a difference. It's really remarkable. I can't wait to try these, but they do need to cool for a bit. So 5 minutes, we'll slide them off the trays and let them cool the rest of the way. And then we'll come back and taste in about 20-30 minutes. All right, I feel like I've been waiting long enough. It's time to give these a taste. That is so incredibly good. It's crunchy on the outside. It's firm but chewy on the inside. The rich, complex flavor of that butter is unbelievable. I know that the Kerrygold butter makes a difference. It wouldn't be like that with normal supermarket butter. I need to sit down. So, of course, you can do this with chocolate chips too. It's just been a long time since I've had a good M&M's cookie. And you know what? Just tear open a few packages of Fun Size left over from Halloween. It shouldn't take a lot to make up a cup and a half. Bet Reese's Pieces would be a good bet with these cookies too. Chocolate and peanut butter. Guys, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed the recipe. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you'll give these a try. They are amazing. But we'll see you in the next one.